Um, I'm still here. Didn't plan on being here tonight. I thought I'd be leaving earlier, but things are on its way. So unfortunately, I won't be here too much sooner. But you guys can get to see all my collectibles. Excuse me, all my collectibles and other stuff back at my other home. Okay, so we're gonna get right into it. Um, Let me grab some water because my voice is already shot. Um, but yeah, let's get into it, guys. Like I said, every day this week I'm gonna talk red pill content because when I first did this Monday, it became quite apparent that a lot of people who follow my streams aren't familiar with red pill content, and I do consider myself part of that space in some regards. But the topic du jour is why are men giving up? And to be sure, there are a lot of men giving up, particularly young men and even more so young white men. But young black men are giving up as well, young Asian men are giving up. So this is quite ubiquitous within Western culture, specifically here in the United States. The question is why? Why are men giving up? And that's on multiple fronts. They're giving up when it comes to dating. They're giving it up. They're giving up when it comes to higher education, and they're giving up when it comes to careers. Some of them are working just enough to make their minimum, them to meet their minimal needs for existence: food, shelter, and maybe video games or something like that. Others are dependent on others or government assistance. Um, Many of them have given up on politics as well, thinking neither neither side is going to help them, and they seem to be catching a lot of hatred online through this toxic feminism that's going on that has pretty much made masculinity evil. Like, current feminism has basically deemed masculinity evil, which is why last week I did something called In Defense of Toxic Masculinity. And after I did that, I was like, I should talk more about red pill content. And so I started that Monday, and then I did another one yesterday, and I'm doing one today. Merengue says, "Hi, what's up?" So yeah, I find this fairly important. I While I disagree with men giving up, I understand why. My friend and I had actually been discussing this a few days ago, last weekend. And he was saying, I understand why some of these guys are giving up. By the way, I'm watching the Fung Brothers as we're talking, so shout out to the Fung Brothers. I know they've never watched my content, but if they ever do, well, what's up, guys? I'd love to be on your show one day. But anyway, again, I don't think the Fung Brothers ever caught me on here. I'm in the nether spaces of YouTube. um, Dalton says, "How are you today? I hope you have a very blessed day." Thank you, Dalton. Appreciate it. Levi says, "Can you mod me?" Absolutely not. I don't know who you are. I can't mod someone I don't know whom they are. There has to be an establishment of trust and knowing that you're of mental stability. As of late, I've only made three people moderators: my wife, who's a managing moderator, my online friend Moonlit Fern, my other online friend Miss Needles, and they both have YouTube channels of their own, so you guys can check them out. Moonlit Fern, he's based in Thailand, but he's American and he's Indigenous American. Matter of fact, um, Miss Needles, who's based in Germany, she's also a talented musician and artist. and pretty. Um, hope she's doing well. She's had some health complications lately. And then I have another person who I've recently made a moderator, Officer Lumen. He's a part of NYPD's finest. So those are my mods right now. Until once my numbers jump, then I'll probably need more moderators. But until my numbers jump, there's no need for me to have a bunch of moderators. So it all comes through trust and showing a track of mental stability. Dalton says, does anybody in here play Fortnite? You'll probably come across at least someone who does. He said, you are there. You're a very good man. Well, thank you, Dalton. Merengue says he plays Fortnite, so there you go. You're already there. Dalton says, I hope they get better. So no, the only person who's not doing well right now is Miss Needles, but I consider her, even though we're just online buddies, I consider her a good friend. She's already helped me with my channel. She's guest starred on my channel twice already. Um, but she also made my hey Flutterby. I was just thinking about you earlier. Did you see my message I sent you on Buy Me a Coffee? Let me know when you're doing another live stream so I can jump on and participate. But anyway, yeah. So Miss Needles is not doing well, guys. So um, if you guys want to reach out to her, she has her own YouTube channel. You can tell let her know that we're all rooting for her to get better. Um, but yeah, guys. So getting back to the topic, like I said, all this week is quote unquote red pill content, and like I said, the question is why are men giving up? And like I said, they're giving up on multiple fronts socially. They're giving up in dating. They're giving up on higher education. They're giving up on careers, and they're giving up in just socially engaging. Like I kind of, I'm kind of on that end too of not engaging socially. But for me, it's not because I'm disinterested in social activities. It's because I'd rather save my money and time for being overseas with my wife and doing all my social stuff while traveling. I've seen nothing particularly fascinating about Baltimore or Maryland in general as far as going doing social activities. Like I'm beyond the age of going to clubs. Like after 30, it's a wrap. And even if I was of the clubbing age, I wouldn't go to clubs because the clubs are whack now. Like I said, I posted this on my personal Facebook page, and I said I think fitness gyms are the new nightclubs because that's where you see attractive people gathering and intermingling. The clubs aren't where it's at anymore. People aren't dancing. The only like rhythm guys are going to get from women are probably bottle girls whom they have to pay for that for that for that interaction. Um, the women just pretty much gather amongst themselves, hoping for like some high value guy to come across. And most high value guys wouldn't waste their time at clubs. So it's a pretty the club scene is dead. um, Dalton says, "I hope you have a good time." Okay, thanks. Femboy with a shotgun says, "It'll never get better, guys. It'll never get better, guys. Don't live on a delusion. Don't." Well, I don't want to be fatalistic that way, Femboy. Like my thing is, I understand the problems, but I disagree with some of the. This is what separates red pill from black pill. Okay, both red pill and black pill see the same problems, but come to different conclusions about it. Red pill have different solutions. Black pill are pretty much just give up. They just say black pill are either go into the whole MGTOW thing where they just men going their own way, or they just say or they just say give up. Don't even like they don't even care. It's not worth it. They just give up. I That's not a good prescription. My thing is go where you want it. If you feel unwanted, go where you want it. So that's how I see it. And I mean, we can get into more specifics of that. Flabby says, sorry, no sign of a message on coffee, just check. Oh, okay. I was wondering why you never responded because I left you a few messages on Buy Me a Coffee Flabby. I don't know why they're not getting to you. I don't know if I'm sending them wrongly or it's just the app or is it the app itself? I don't know, but I've sent you several messages on there to try and stay in touch with you over the couple of weeks, last few weeks, and I don't know whether you had saw them or not. So I don't have any other way to reach you. But yeah, I've sent a few. Um, one of them I was asking something about my membership only videos. I was asking you something about that in a joking way. And then the last message I left today, and I was just like, "Hey, how you been? Let me know when you're doing a live stream so I could jump on and watch." But that was earlier today, like a few hours ago. Um, but yeah, guys. So like I said, the what's up is the red pill from the black pill is how they look at this whole phenomenon. Like this is so serious. Like it's been talked about on major news networks. So this is not just something that is being complained about amongst men of lower stature. That's not what's going on. This is happening across not just America, but Western culture in general. And it should be discussed. Okay. Um, I think, I mean, guys are quietly quitting society, and that's bad. When you have a, because because the thing is, it's mostly younger men that's doing this, right? That's dangerous. When you have military age men start to kind of check out of society, that is a bad that precipitates danger. Get it? Get again, military age men, men from like the ages of 18 to 30, checking out of society spells danger because when you have young men that feel like they can't get a fair shake in society, the frustration is going to build. And I do have WhatsApp Flutterby, but my ever since I got a new phone, it hasn't worked with my new phone. I also have. Do you have Viber? I have Viber. Um, or do you have Messenger? Facebook Messenger. But Instagram, Viber, um, Messenger, Facebook Messenger. Like I said, I did have WhatsApp, but it hasn't worked ever since I upgraded my phone. I think because I have a different number, that's why. I think it doesn't take my new number. What are you talking about, Dalton? My phone does work. That's I'm currently on my phone. Uh, she was asking me, do I have WhatsApp? I was telling her I do, but it doesn't work with my current phone, which is an upgrade of my older phone because I switch phone numbers. It only works with my old number, and I can't use my old number now on this new phone. So like that's the problem because like if I try to use WhatsApp, it'll send a code to my old phone number, and so when I do that, it's going presumably to someone else. But I'm going to try to fix that eventually, get my WhatsApp back because that's how I'm, you know, talk with a lot of people overseas is on WhatsApp. WhatsApp and Viber are pretty popular overseas, so that's why I use those, particularly in the Philippines. And I think WhatsApp is used a lot in like Thailand and Japan. So all the places I frequent overseas. But anyway, let me get back to the subject. Um, like I said, why do you guys think men are just quietly giving up? The funny thing is when they do complain, they're told to shut up. They're ridiculed online when they speak up about their issues. So I think it's only really taken seriously when you see it on like actual like um like major news outlets. Like when you see something come on like 60 Minutes, 2020, you know, NBC, ABC, or CBS Evening News here in America. um, CNN, uh, The Hill, and some other places. Like, it's only, like, let's be honest, it's only when you see it on left leaning networks then it's taken seriously. Because until it appears on a left leaning network, people see this as just like people complaining on the who are right wing, and it's not real. That's not really the case at all. So, what's up, Tactical? Flubby says phones is why I had to give up live streaming when I only just started. Kept burning my battery out of power. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, my old phone when I was using that, I used to have it charging while I was doing my live streams because the battery was so poo poo. But do you have any other apps, Flutterby? And you can email me too. Um, and you other folks can email me as well. I have a bunch of emails, but you can usually the easiest way to reach me is at my alumni email, which is Amand AHMAND at terp alum ALUM dot UMD dot edu. You can reach me at that email, guys, if you want to. If you guys have business inquiries, if you have questions about some of the content that I've talked about on here, if you for the people who actually want to fight me for whatever reason, they can reach out to me that way. But mind you, if you do want to fight, it's going to be under strict rules, um, akin to like a street beast video, something like that, where we'll have someone from law enforcement there, someone who's a medic on the scene, um, witnesses to video it for me because I will upload it to my channel so that people can see the see the fight. Because obviously, if I'm going to do this, I might as well make it into content. um, but yeah, so that's my email. If people want to reach out to me, either for business inquiries, to ask me about content that I've made, to suggest future content that they want me to make, or if they're interested in coming on the channel and like live streaming with me, or or something else related to that, we can do that. And like I said, Flutterby, you can email me too. Like so, we can find out what's a mutual um, social media app we can both use to stay in touch. She said, Flubby says, from what I've experienced, many men show vulnerability with some women mother, but the women guys really want are the manly man type. Right. So it's that's part of it. Like it's not guys emoting online. Like obviously guys who emote online look soft, right? People like Tyrese when he when he was going through his issues with his ex-wife, he was sitting there crashing out on Instagram, just having a meltdown, like crying, like literally crying, like that's that's soft. And the thing is, you can be a manly guy and still have emotions, but you masculine men know when to express them and when not. um, and that includes anger. Like anger, you have to be strategic with that. Like there is a place in in some cultures, especially Eastern cultures, it's unwholesome to show anger, but and stuff like that. But there is a place for it, and it can be strategic when done properly. Um, but no, it's not just about emotional men flutter be. It's like when I'm talking about like why are men giving up, I'm saying so there are men who are just giving up on dating, saying this is I'm not dealing with this is too much, because you got a lot of women here in the US because they watch too much social media content. They're on Instagram too much, and they all want these men who make tons of money, not realizing that these men are rare statistically, because guys who make over 100,000 are like only 15% of the income earners within the country. I'm guessing it's something similar in the UK, right? But the guys they want is making like some of these women saying like 500,000 a year, stuff like that. Like these would be guys in the 1% of the population. So it, those guys have plenty of options. So what makes these women think that they have going to have are going to have exclusive access to 1% of the population? So it's unlike, because the dating scene is so unrealistic right now. Some guys are giving up on that. Then some guys are giving up when it comes to careers, because they they if they don't fit in a certain political strata, or they decide not to pursue a higher education, or they don't fit the preferred group. I'm putting all these things nicely. Then they may not get these jobs. So a lot of these guys are quitting careers as well. They're just like, hey, I'm just gonna get some menial job, enough that I can basically feed myself and play video games. And I don't agree with it, but I understand. We Part of it is, yes, we are also having a mental health crisis here in America, and in the Western world generally. And like I said, part of them dropping out of the dating scene and dropping out of the uh, professional job scene is they're also dropping out of the social atmosphere, like in toto. So they're not doing things as much. Like you go out nowadays, it's mostly more women out than guys. Guys rather, and I agree with this, but for different reasons. Like most guys will just be like, are more comfortable just being at home, um, or if they do hang out, it's usually they go to the gym. So that's with me. Like the only places you'll see me really going anywhere when I'm not with my wife back in the Philippines is the gym, or to like a comic book, or like a comic book store or something like that. Other than that, I don't really go out. Now, when I'm overseas, I go out a lot, but East Asia is a completely different atmosphere than the Western world. Guys aren't treated like creeps over there. You have a thriving you have a thriving nightlife. Guys aren't shamed because of their age and still like being out there on the dating scene. So it's it's oh, you know, on the eastern on the eastern side of the world, it's socially more healthy. So more guys are engaged socially out there than they are in the West. So guys are just quitting over here. Flappy says mental health crisis is everywhere. There seems less goal-minded people these days, though I sound really old saying that. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But like I said, all of this is interrelated. When when it if I were to like, there's not one silver bullet to explain all of this, but a huge a huge link in the causal chain of this is economic woes. Once you start having economic woes, it brings down everything else. Um, and like I said, it's interrelated to the social scene, the guys feeling inadequate for dating, not pursuing more ambitious career goals, giving up on higher education, which seems more feminized now. Like even when I was still in undergrad, like 25 years ago, you know, higher education is quite liberal, and it has become quite feminized. So guys who are the more manly types are are starting to walk away from higher education. And as I've said before, this is where I disagree with people in the red pill space who are actually advocating that men give up going to higher education and pick up vocational trades instead. And I'm like, no, because one, it costs just as much to pick up a vocational trade as it does to go on to college and universities. And two, there's more social prestige in being in having letters before your name. I, like that's not to say that the blue collar jobs aren't important. They're very important. The blue collar jobs keep society running. So they under they they the you know the blue collar jobs are the things that keep society running, and they are the lifeblood of a civilization. However, we do need guys in those white collar jobs because we have to understand that that's where there's more social prestige in those in getting you know credentialed. So and you can be credentialed and still go into a blue collar work. That gives you sort of the best of both worlds. Get the credentials and then go on to get a job that you actually want to do. You may not want to be in an office setting. You might feel better working with your hands. That's great. What I would say is still get the education, get your credentials, then go into that line of work. That way, that way you're a double threat. say you say you have a degree in mechanical engineering, but you decided to pursue a career doing like HVAC or electrician work, something like that. Um, maybe it's a downturn in that industry. You can go back. You can fall on your degree, or vice versa. So, and I'm someone like that. Like I'm somewhat credentialed, but I also done blue collar work. Like leaving, once I was not when I left the army, but when I was in Army Reserves, I briefly did work as a cable tech. Because of my training I got in the army, I was able to get a job as a cable tech. So I could work with my hands, but at the same time, I was taking very, I was pursuing liberal arts type majors like philosophy and psychology and linguistics. So yeah, I was a triple major. so, so you guys get what I'm saying? Like I disagree with red pill people saying to to men who are more masculine to give up higher education and just go get a vocational trade. I disagree with that. I think you need more conservative men, more masculine men to stay in higher education to balance it out so that it doesn't become overly liberal and overly feminized. Okay. That's what I say. I don't say give up on higher education. I say double down on it. Uh, but also you can pursue the trades as well and be a double threat um, in your career path, right? So maybe you have a master's in English lit, but you're a plumber and you're a licensed plumber. Shh. Who who could talk trash about you? I mean, at the most they'll try to say, "Oh, well, you did nothing with your education." And be like, "No, I did what I wanted to do with my education, and then I decided I'm going to do what I want to do." So be a double threat. But the black pillars are worse than the red pill. Some of the red pill guys will say, "Well, don't pursue college anymore because it's too effeminate and it's too liberal." I say, "No, go to school anyway," because half of the people telling you don't pursue your college education are college educated themselves, and I find it very hypocritical that people who went on to get their degrees are telling young men not to get theirs. I think that's horrible advice, and I've said that before in previous videos and streams. But the black pillars are worse. They will just say it doesn't matter anyway, or they'll try to con you into some sort of like coaching that they can provide you. I'm not going to say exactly who does that, but you guys might know of at least one person who offers his coaching or group or whatever as a remedy to men not being masculine anymore. Yeah, I think you guys know who I'm talking about. Otherwise, I do like that guy, but his business offerings are sketchy at best. Flutterby says, with all those given up, the ones that do stay and get those qualifications will be spoilt for choice, as nobody else will be educated enough. Yeah, so like I said, our society, for better or for worse, is all about credentialism. And like I said, for guys not to pursue higher education and people telling them not to pursue higher education is a bad idea because if they want to get into those higher income places, they need that credentials. Even in trades, like to become a journey tradesman, you got to get the certification and licensing, which means going beyond just merely doing that job. You have to actually test to become a journey tradesman or and licensed in that field. Besides that, not every besides that, another problem with the trades is you're locked into one specific thing, and if that something happens to that industry, then you're screwed. But at least if you do go into a trade, but you still have your, but you still have like a college degree or even a graduate or professional degree, you can fall back on that even if you decided to go into a trade anyway. Because I know of people who have doctorates in philosophy who've gone on to do stuff like construction. I'm not lying like this because I mean, philosophy is a very small academic field nowadays. So there's not very many spots where you can teach and do research. So a lot of people who go into philosophy end up not practicing it, but at least they can fall back on that. So if they are in the labor force and that industry dries up, they can still have their higher education to fall on, which is good because we saw with I don't want to get too much into a tangent here, but for instance, we saw how like 10 years ago in the spaces for for tech, like Silicon Valley and stuff like that, there was people like Elon Musk and others saying that they wanted their programmers and computer engineers to have a background in philosophy because as more work is done on AI, they need people who have degrees in philosophy and the humanities to be able to put that into the AI. And people who just have STEM filled backgrounds wouldn't know how to do that. So so they started looking for people who have backgrounds in humanities. So, but um, so yeah, that's why I say it's good to be a double threat. You can you have credentials on the white collar side, and you have skills on the blue collar side. Like I said, that's what I've done. Now, currently, I don't do anything on the blue collar side. Like once I went on to college and started grad school, which I never finished, um, I wa I no longer did cable work. Although I did look into it, like for AT&T. What was it? I think yeah, AT&T at one point, but I never really pursued it that much. I ended up like doing stuff in college to make ends meet, like retail. Then eventually working at a call centers and stuff like that. But I haven't I haven't fallen back on my cable experience in a long time. But at least I had it. Well, still have it if I wanted to do that again. But I don't know if I want to be in people's. I don't know if I want to be in people's houses anymore. I don't want to be one of those people who have to. I, the job wasn't bad, but I don't know if today I would still want to be in people's houses because people are just crazy nowadays. It seems like more people have pit bulls nowadays than they did back in the 90s. So I don't know if I want to do that again, like I did in the late 90s, early 2000s, doing the cable work. Although actually the pit bulls wouldn't be too bad because nowadays anyone who comes to your home, whether they're electricians, cable tech, um, or other folks like that, home repair, like they can refuse service if people don't put their pets away while they're working. They can refuse to answer that call. And when a person calls to the company and complains, well, this person refused to come to my house, and they'll simply say, well, did you did you refuse to put your pet away? If they say yeah, they're like, well, he has the right to refuse you service, and we won't do another service call. We won't give you any service calls until you agree to put your pet away for the next serviceman. So I remember those days. I remember one house. The house smelled so egregious. Like we were gonna not give them. We were gonna refuse them service just based on the the house smelled unsanitary. But we ended up having everyone come to the house at one time. Like everyone that was working that day for our department of the cable company came out to this one house, and we just all like just took turns like helping run cable to this person's house and wire them up, and we were all just like chilling talking, and it was funny because I guess the people are like, why is so many people here? But I mean, at least we were giving them service because we could have refused them. Anyway, enough of that tangent, guys. So Um, so yeah, like I said, young men, particularly young men, are quitting on quitting socially. They're quitting on education. They're quitting on dating. They're quitting on careers, and they're quitting on doing like fun social activities that involves the fairer sex. Like I said, especially in the black community. Oh yeah, like you go to these clubs or you go to these bars, it's mostly women. Like when my friend and I we hit bars and stuff like that for like um for what do you call it, guys, when you go to the bars? Um, Forgetting my words here. The you know what I'm talking about when you go there and they got the little specials, whatever you call it. Mostly women. It's mostly women there. And they'll be eyeing us down, but they probably will espy the fact that I have a ring on, so they know I'm out. I'm off the table. Which, let's be honest, when women see the ring and they know that I'm not available, they want me more. They see my friend. They might prejudge him based off his looks, but between he and I, he's the more successful of us two. So, and ironically, he's the one who would be interested in them because I typically am not interested in the women of my group, to put it nicely. And as friends, sure, but uh, even if I were single, I'm not interested in them. That was the main reason I flew almost 9,000 miles away to meet my wife, is because I was not interested in the dating scene here in Maryland, particularly in Baltimore. Baltimore has some of the ugliest women I've ever seen, next to like also Philadelphia and Detroit. These are some of the yuck, um, homeliest women I've ever seen. Um, and on top of that, the one, and then even if they do look decent, they're screwed up mentally or emotionally, and I don't want any parts of it. So I flew my butt right on over to the Far East. That's why I said go where you want it. So one of the that's one of the ways I'll prescribe guys not giving up, is to go where they're wanted when it comes to dating. Get out of your own town, get out of your own state, get out of your own region of the country. Shoot, get out of the country. Go where you want it if you have the means. If not, if you don't have the means, then that's what you have. That's why we have internet. Make those connections digitally. Um, when it comes to, again, education, yes, I get it. Education has become very liberal and very feminine, but that shouldn't be a reason to leave. That should be your call, that as a man, to step in and plant your feet and say, well, I'm not going to let them change how I think. I'm going to get my education for the credentials and the social prestige, but I'm not going to subscribe to some of these ideas that are not tethered to evidence. The biggest defeater, the biggest defeater of liberalism, when and I, okay, I should be fair. I'm not going to say liberalism. The biggest defeater of political ideologies is evidence. Most political ideologies are not tethered very well to evidence. And that can be both on the left and the right. Okay. And like I said, because higher education is so entrenched in American liberalism, it can seem it can turn some people off from pursuing it, and it's very feminine. Like guy like masculine activity is kind of down like looked down upon in higher education. But again, my rule, go where you want it, still holds. So if you still want to go somewhere where masculinity isn't shunned, a lot of those big A lot of those big colleges and universities down south are great places. They still have thriving fraternity. They still have a thriving Greek life in the universities down south. They still have engaging campuses, which are not where you don't have people protesting every fucking day over something. So a lot of people. So when we seen this last year, last academic year, we saw like less people applying to go to the big Ivy schools in the Northeast, and instead we saw more people applying to some of these traditional universities out down south and in the Midwest, because some people are pining for the traditional campus life that they've seen in movies from like the 90s and the 2000s, maybe even the 80s if they watch 80s films. But there's kids coming out of high school and they've seen these old movies, and they want that sort of they want that sort of college experience, the kind they've seen in movies from 10, 20, 30 years ago. They don't want to be in the colleges where they don't want to be in the colleges where they know it's going to be always constant protesting over one thing or another, protesting because somebody's Pop Tart doesn't have the right color. I'm joking, but you get what I mean, guys. Also, let me switch to chat filter because I'm probably missing a lot of messages. Um, Funny says, catch you later. It's almost 4 a.m. for me. Good night. Don't forget to hit me up, let it be. And again, let me know how I can reach out to you since the buy me a coffee isn't working. Like I said, my WhatsApp isn't working with my new number, but um, email me if you can, and then you could tell me how to reach you in the email. Okay. Talk to you later. Um, and I notice I'm talking a lot here. I'm not getting a lot of feedback on this, so I'm probably gonna end this soon myself if I don't get more feedback because I don't want to just be speaking out to the ether here like I used to when I first started these live streams 6 months ago. But like I said, so this is what some of the stuff I'm saying is obviously is germane to younger men, not to men of my age. So I know through my analytics, the majority of people who watch me are men around my age or a little older or maybe a little younger, but generally between the ages of 35 and like 55. Well, I'll say between 35 and 50. Like that's the bulk. But I get women here, I get people from overseas, I get younger men, I get senior citizen men. But this is germane to younger men because per- most this is most profound within younger men right now. Oh, I didn't even mention young white men particularly. So not only are young men getting shunned, but young white men are catching hell too because just by virtue of being white and a man, they're just seen as evil, and that's the problem with this sort of ideology. Some of these political ideologies that aren't tethered to evidence to basically say someone's evil just by virtue of the group they're born into, or racial, whether it's their racial skin, I mean their skin color, their 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 sex, their religion, etc. Eh, it's it's a bit that's a bit prejudiced, and it seems like we understand that when it pertains to non-white people, but when it but when it's to them, it seems like it's okay to talk badly upon them, and that's not fair. So it seems weird, a middle-aged black man defending young white men, but I'm I believe in being rational. Teresa says because the evil doesn't want men to be men, they want you to be a bunch of pussys. I agree, Teresa. John Doyo says, "What's up?" Um, so yeah, like I said, men are giving up. I don't blame them, but I don't think that's a healthy way to go. Like I said, go where you want it. So when it comes to dating, go where you want it. So if you can't find if you can't find wifey material where you live, travel. If you can't travel, do it digitally and find women who can meet you here. Um, when it comes to education, we know it's been very it's been it's very liberal and it's been feminized. But that doesn't mean give up. Go where you want it. So go to these big southern universities where they still have a thriving campus life, where there's not constant protest, where men can still be masculine and they have like an active Greek life for where you have fraternities and sororities, or or if you have some huspa, go 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 to those northeast universities, like one I've went to, that are very LGBTQ friendly, that are very feminist, that are very liberal, and plant your flag just just for the sake of getting credentialed and having the social prestige of saying you went to MIT, that you went to UPenn, that you went to NYU, stuff like that. Watching Dennis Sperling, by the way, guys, if you're hearing the shouting in the background. But yeah, go to those. I would say either go to those big southern universities where you can still have the old fashioned campus experience that people have witnessed on, in movies for the last 30 years, but that you can't get now in a lot of these big northeastern schools because they're always embroiled in protesting for some cause. Um, they have to have safe spaces for people. Professors have to give trigger warnings for their course material. Um, Forget all that. Go to one of those southern schools, get a good campus experience, or you can risk it and go to one of those big northeast schools and be a bulwark for your own views. Your choice, but don't give up on education. Don't listen to these red pill guys saying just get a trade, because you can get a trade, you can get journeyed and licensed and all that good stuff. But if that industry dries up, then what are you going to fall on? You can still get a trade, but still get your college credentials too, and have the best of both worlds. You have your credentials from college, and you'll have your licensing as a tradesman. Okay, like maybe get a TWIC card and be working on the docks like those guys. Those guys recently, went on strike and got doubled their and pretty much doubled their income. I think they now make what I think they went from like 39 an hour to like 63 an hour or something like that, because they held their strike. And it's like to show who's really in charge, because if those dock workers go on strike, nothing gets done. Like nothing happens without those dock workers moving stuff. So hey, might want to get that TWIC card, work on the docks. Like, so now those guys are making, starting around 131 an hour. I mean 131,000 a year, and that's starting because of that was part of their agreement. So hey, 131 starting working on the docks, not bad, especially if you don't have that education. But again, I would strongly Advise people to still get that education, even if you do work on the docks and get that to a card, because an industry may dry up, but but you'll always have that education. You always have those credentials. That can't be taken away from you. Even if your job can be taken away, your education can't be taken away from you. So that's what I'm saying. And then the third part was guys giving up on the social scene. Again, same advice: go where you want it. Don't go to those clubs. We know those clubs don't work out for men like that nowadays. After the 2000s, the clubs became whack. By the 2010s, you're not getting any rhythm in the club. You're gonna be sitting there with yourself with your boys, trying to send bottles over to people, and the only way you're gonna get attention is from the bottle girls, who are pretty much DTF for the right price. But the women at the clubs, they all will shun you while they look for something better, because they're always thinking something's better is going to come along. They're looking for these mystical high value guys, not knowing that the high value guys wouldn't waste their time in the club like that. So anyway, I'm about to end this because I'm not getting much talk here from others. So um, I don't know, guys. Like I said, and I won't be here for the following stream. I'm gonna be back in my original place, so you'll see. But hold up, let me check something here. Well, I'm gonna go, guys. So that's it for me. If you have further thoughts, leave in the comment section. But thanks.